Yo, 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 my homies, and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, welcome to my channel, welcome to my space. Today, I'm going to talk to you guys about how many languages should you actually learn. And if my tongue looks blue, it's because I just had a fruit smoothie I made. Your girl is doing her best to be healthier, and also because I was just craving the fruit smoothie. So there's that. So a lot of people, when they start their language learning journey, they're like, how many languages should I start learning? And honestly, it depends. So we're gonna jump into that and stay tuned because I do want to share some exciting news with you guys with regards to this video, how many languages you should learn. I'm going to talk to you guys about how many I'm going to be learning and why, because of this awesome, exciting news that's taking place in my life. So stay tuned for that. It's gonna pop out when it pops out. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump into this awesome, fun video. So you guys, how many languages should you learn? Well, if you're a complete beginner who is barely starting their language learning journey, I would personally recommend learning and focusing on just one language, maybe two languages. It depends like what your goals are, and maybe there are two languages that you're just very invested in, and that's totally cool. Because you know what, when I started my language learning journey, I started with French and Italian, and it was just fine for me, and they actually help each other, like French would help me with Italian, Italian with French, so it was super awesome. But of course, that was just me because I was very interested in learning about both languages. But of course, if that's not the case for you, you can just learn one language. But that's only if you're a beginner. I would just suggest that because as a beginner, if you take on a lot of languages, it might be super overwhelming for you at the beginning. It wasn't the case for me with the two languages, but for some people it might be, and that's totally okay. So you have to do what works best for you, and don't compare your journey to anyone else's because honestly, everyone is different. So you do what works for you, okay? Now, if you're someone who's already been on your language learning for quite a while, maybe you've already learned the language or maybe two languages and you're like, you know what, I want to start adding more languages, but it's a little overwhelming because I'm really interested in, I don't know, Chinese, but I really want to learn Korean. But then there's also Esperanto. I don't know, like there could be so many languages that you're interested in, and I know that's certainly the case for me, but how many should you learn? How many should you take on? It depends. And here's why. A video I really love by a person here on YouTube, her channel is called Polyglot Progress. She made a video called cross-training, like something about cross-training, like how she compared basically cross-training, working out and all that, with learning multiple languages. And I found that to be cool because honestly, you can do that. And if you're not in a rush to learn any particular language, like you don't want to be fluent in a language. I'm not even gonna use fluency or fluent because that's too crazy for me. But like, let's say you're in no rush to reach a conversational level in a language. So if you don't really care for that, you can certainly take on more languages. If you're interested in like Chinese, Korean, Spanish, you can do all of that. Honestly, it's really dependent on what you want. However, if you're someone who really wants to reach a certain level in the language, then maybe taking on so many languages isn't a good idea because you also have to take into consideration that the time that can go into one particular language will be, what's the word? I can't even think in English today. Basically, you all the energy that can go into one language will be spread out into all these other languages that you're interested in. So you have to keep that into account. If you do have a goal of reaching a conversational level, let's say in French, but then you also are learning Chinese and Korean and Spanish, then you're gonna be a little spread out, and all that energy that can go into French will be spread out to these other languages. So you won't see as much progress in French as you would if you were just focused on French, right? So it's really dependent on your goals. If you're not in no rush of achieving any particular level in a language, then by all means, take on the languages that you're interested in. But if you do have this goal of reaching a certain level in a language, or maybe let's say you're going to travel to a particular country soon, then maybe focus on just that language. And this is where my exciting news comes in. So if you saw my last video, you probably know that I had talked about how I was interested in maybe dabbling in 2 or 3 other languages, but I've decided not to because, drum roll, I will be traveling to Europe next summer, in particular France, Germany, and probably Italy. So instead of spreading myself out too thin, trying to dabble in all these other languages, though I do definitely have the desire at some point to, you know, dabble or actually learn these languages, I've decided that I'm going to place my focus on where it's been placed, because I also have other priorities in my life, and I have to keep that in mind, because then if I try to do all these other languages, I'm only going to overwhelm myself, and we don't want that. Excuse me. I told you I just had a smoothie, okay, and I ate. So, anyways, that's why I've decided I'm just gonna keep on focusing on French and German, and at some point, probably at the end of the year, I'm probably going to start Italian again, because I do believe that it's important to have some knowledge in the language that you're going. I do believe it's important that you have some knowledge in the language of the place you're deciding to travel to, because it will certainly come in handy. And I think people really do appreciate when you take the time to learn their language, their mother tongue. And it's a beautiful thing, honestly. So, and I feel confident that we'll learn so much Italian. Like, io posso parlare un po' di italiano, ma non è buono. Lo capisco, ma sì. Sono studentessa dell'università, sono cantante, suono il piano, mi piace mangiare della pizza e tutto, tutti. Anyways, but that I'm going to travel next summer. Hopefully it's safe. But if all is safe, I will be traveling, and that's why I am focusing on my languages, because those are the languages that are certainly going to come in handy when I go to these places. So that's why I'm focusing on German and French and Japanese. It's just a language that, like I said, I'm just reviewing, because I don't want to forget everything that I've learned for almost a year, because at some point I really do want to learn Japanese and travel to Japan, and I'd love to at least reach an intermediate level. So that's what I'm doing. However, if I wasn't planning to travel, maybe I would dabble on more languages. But then again, I'm also a university student, and I'm prioritizing my studies in music and all that. So I know I have to also focus my energy into that. And it's not that I have to, it's that I want to, because that's my major and I love that. I live for music and languages, of course, and that's why I've decided to only focus my energy for now into mainly French and German. Now, if you also have a similar goal like mine, then it probably is best that you only focus on one language, maybe 2 languages. The most, I would probably say 3 languages. However, like I said, I watched this video by Polyglot Progress. I will make sure to link it below if you guys want to check it out. And she talks about, you know, cross-training. It's cool. It's a cool concept, because I know I'm someone who loves like dabbling and learning different languages, because it's so fun, you know? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, there are people out there on YouTube that are like, oh, you just have to learn 1 language or just 2 languages or whatever. But honestly, it's really about what your goals are. If you're really in no rush, or you don't have any particular goal at this time to reach a certain level with your language learning, then by all means dabble. There's no wrong way to go about it. Just know that if you're simultaneously, it wasn't a burp, it's a little bit of phlegm. But anyways, if you don't have a goal right now, then you can simultaneously dabble in all these languages, but just know that by simultaneously dabbling on all these languages, you won't make as much progress as you would if you just focus on 1 language or even 2 languages. And I know people are probably like, you know, you would make more progress if you just focused on 1 language. But you know what? I don't want to. I want to learn 2 languages and maintain my Japanese. So that's what I'm doing. And honestly, I still see so much progress for myself with learning 2 languages at the same time. Like, I still make a lot of progress because I do dedicate that time and energy to both of them. I don't just like focus on one and then like 20 minutes on the other. Like, it really depends on my schedule, right? But for the most part, I do my best to really dedicate that time to each language, because that's the only way you will see growth, right? So anyways, you guys, that's my thoughts on how many languages you should learn. Let me know how many languages you're currently learning, how many languages you're thinking about learning or dabbling on. Let me know in the comments below. Like always, I'm so happy to be making these videos and sharing my journey with you guys. And if there are any particular videos you would like to watch on my channel, please let me know in the comments below. And yeah, for now, I can't even speak. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!